Look at that flag waving in the wind. Isn't that nice? Look at that flag waving in the wind. Is it waving or waving? Waving or waving? What do you guys think? It's my question, my trivia question for you today. Well, welcome back to another episode of Mad English TV. Just basking in the sun here. Or am I basking in the sun? Basking or baskin? You know, look at all this nice snow. It was actually snowing yesterday a lot. Or was it snowing? Was it snowing or snowing? Let me know down in the comments, guys. Well, welcome to a special pronunciation lesson for Russian speakers, particularly because I was speaking with a Russian person recently, and I was kind of pointing out a pronunciation tip to them that I always notice when I'm talking with Russian speakers. I always notice this, and it tells me that they're not native English speakers. Okay, because a lot of Russians I know speak very good English. Their English is really advanced and they've worked really hard on their pronunciation. So that's amazing. So this tip isn't super important, but if you want to convince people that you are a native English speaker, then you need to deal with this issue. Okay, so the issue is that Russian speakers, for some reason, cannot say the ing words. Snowing. They say snowing. I'm basking in the sun. To bask means you're just kind of enjoying the sun. I'm basking in the sun, right? Not basking. Waving, right? That flag is, I said, now, what did I say? Did I say waving or waving? So guys, this is the answer to the question, is whether or not you're speaking normal English or whether you're speaking really informal English. Okay, because very often you hear people drop the G when they're speaking very informally. You know, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Right? I dropped the G. I didn't say what are you talking about. So that's very informal English. But normal English is not that informal. Okay, normal English, we use the G. Okay, it's snowing. The flag is waving in the wind, right? Now, if you listen to rap music, those people drop the G all the time, right? It's any ing word is like in, so snowing, basking, waving. Most of the time they drop the G. But that's too informal for normal communication. And so the problem is that when Russian speakers are dropping the G, it can sound too informal for normal situations, okay? So if they say it's snowing outside, you know, or, you know, like for certain words, like how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? You know, it's more common to say doing maybe than doing. But if I'm speaking to someone normal, very often I don't drop the G. I'd say, how are you doing? Hi, how are you doing? You know, I keep the G. But if it's really informal, then I would drop the G. Okay, so that it depends on the situation. But for a word like snowing, I always say the G. And most native English speakers would say the G. Yeah, like I said, it depends on maybe who they're talking to and what their mood is at the time. But most Russian speakers that I've heard speak English, they never say the G. And I always notice it, and that the problem is that you can appear, your English can feel then too informal. So what I would like to present to you is a tip that try to pronounce the G. Okay, and the other reason, there's kind of two reasons why this is important. One is that you maybe sound too informal if you're dropping the G. The second reason is that there are lots of words in English that sound similar that are actually different words with a G or without the G. Okay, so lots of words in English end in ing, the ng sound. Lots of words just end in N, like IN or EN, right? Like, let's think of impaling, the verb impaling. Hey, there's an advanced English word for you guys. Impaling, what does that mean? It's a verb. Do you know what it means? I'll tell you if you smash that like button right down there. You didn't smash it, did you? All right, I'll tell you anyway, because I'm in a nice mood. I'm in a friendly mood today. So it's because the sun is shining. Look at that nice big bright sun. I love the sun, guys, but it is a bit chilly out here. I didn't wear my toque today, just wore my baseball cap, so my ears are a little bit chilly. But so that's a verb. Impaling. To impale is actually kind of a gruesome word. It means to to ram. Do you know the verb ram? To ram means to push with force. It means to ram a stake up somebody's. So the word stake means a wooden pole that's sharp. It's like a big spear almost, right? Not the kind of steak you eat. That's spelled S-T-E-A-K. The kind of steak I'm talking about is S-T-A-K-E. Steak. Guys, I think I'm gonna go that way. I'm just on my way to a shawarma shop. So I'm gonna eat a shawarma for supper. Shawarma. When I was in Romania many years ago, I ate a lot of shawarmas. Actually, speaking of Romania, there was a king in Romania back a long time ago, and he was called Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler. So what does that mean? It means he would impale his enemies on a stake. Okay, so he would take it's kind of a gruesome, you know what gruesome means? Gruesome means like kind of bloody, or like it's not a pleasant topic. He would take a wooden stake and he would ram it up his enemies' backsides and then like leave them to die on the stake. Like put the stake up, you know, and torture. It was like, it's a form of torture, a form of death. It's a form of execution, a really gruesome form of execution. So he was called Vlad the Impaler. I actually ate at a restaurant in central Romania. It was called Dracula Inn, because the character Dracula is based off a real king in Romania back in the olden days named Vlad. What a great name, Vlad. Anyway, guys, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about impaling, the pronunciation of impaling, right? It's an ing word. Now, there's a politician in the US named Sarah Palin. You probably remember her. She ran for vice president with what was that guy's name? Forgot his name. Anyway, she ran against what was that? I think that was in the year 2008, maybe, something. His name will come to mind probably right after I make this video. His name will come to mind. Anyway, so she ran as the vice president. her name is Sarah Palin. Probably shouldn't use this example. Impaling Palin. I think she's probably a nice woman, but if you say these two words side by side, impaling Palin, impaling Palin, Russian speakers would probably say Impaling Palin. See the same sound. Guys, I'm crying here. It's so cold. Tears are running down my face. It's actually not that cold. I don't know why I'm crying. Maybe I'm sad to think about Impaling Palin. But she was the actually, it's a good example to use her because she was the governor of Alaska, I believe. She's still the governor of Alaska? I'm not sure. But she was famous for saying, or one of her famous quotes is, "I can see Russia from my window," I think, or backyard. I can see Russia out my window. Right, because Alaska and Russia are really close, right? So anyway, so she is, her name ends in N. So sad, guys. That's why I'm crying. So her name ends in N. Palin. It's not Paling, it's Palin. So can you see what I'm trying to say here? Impaling Palin. There's a difference. If you don't get that difference, if you can't pronounce that difference, it just means that it could result in some misunderstandings in certain situations. Now, I can't think of a situation right now because that's a very weird situation, right? Impaling Palin. Impaling Palin. But like I said, right, a lot of words end in N, a lot of words end in ing, and it's a different sound, right? So it's good to know these things so that you can avoid miscommunications. All right, so Impaling Palin. Can you say that? Impaling Palin. As a Russian speaker, try to say that. Try to pronounce that. Impaling Palin. Actually, forget that example. That's not a good, that's a bit of a gruesome example. Think about happy thoughts like eating shawarmas. That's the reason I thought of Romania, because I think shawarmas are a kind of a Middle Eastern thing. But guys, some kids over here. I'll take a hard left. I'll swing a hard left to avoid these kids coming back from school. So a hard left. They're being kind of stupid behind me, right? A hard left means a sharp left. So I just swung a hard left. I picked the wrong time, guys. Look at these kids are going back from school. It's a school bus here. About 3:30 in the afternoon, probably. Maybe 4. I'll check. What time do kids come back from school? It's 4:15 p.m. So obviously kids wouldn't be coming back to school at 4 a.m. That'd be kind of weird. But anyway, guys, oh yeah, shawarmas. I think shawarmas are a Middle Eastern or Eastern European type of thing, because the first time I ever had shawarmas was in Romania, and I just loved them. I ate like a ton of shawarmas. You can see it's really slushy here, guys. So, all right, across the road here. Don't get run over by that SUV. All right, so I don't know if shawarmas are native to Romania, because all those areas, they all have their own version of that. Like in Albania, they're called souflacis, I think. It's kind of the same idea. Kebabs, donairs, these types of things, they're all kind of the same idea. Wrap, it's kind of a wrap with meat and vegetables and stuff. So that's really good. I love those so much. So I'm gonna go to a shawarma shop here. Yeah, it's gonna be great. But yeah, so do I have anything else to say? ing. So if I just a tip for Russian speakers, like I said, it's not really that important, because people know what you're saying. Like I said, I know many Russian speakers, I can understand them very easily. It's usually, it doesn't lead to miscommunications or misunderstandings, but sometimes it might, right? So practice these types of words, right? Snowing, reading, interesting. You know what I find interesting? Sewing clothing. Maybe you find sewing clothing interesting. Okay, a Russian speaker would say, interesting, sewing clothing, right? So again, most of the time it doesn't affect the understandability, is that a word? Understandability of someone's speech. But it's just, if you want to practice and take your English to the next level, if you want to convince people that you're like a native English speaker, you're going to need to solve this issue, right? There's no way you're going to pass as a native English speaker unless you solve this, okay? If you can like, I don't want to say fix, because you know, people have pronunciations, and pronunciation is I mean, like an accent, right? People have different accents. If you have a Russian accent, that's fine. Like, there's no issue with that. If you have an Indian accent or a Brazilian accent, whatever, it's fine. But if you want to try to convince people that you are a native English speaker, then you're going to need to be able to say ing ending words. Interesting. Okay, try to say that, interesting, because we don't ever drop, we would never, for a word like interesting, we never drop the ing sound. We don't say interesting. That's really interesting. No, never. Okay, like I said, for some words, maybe in informal situations we do. How are you doing? You know, what you up, what you doing? You know, what you talking about? What are you talking about? Or the flag is waving around in the wind, right? Waving, maybe we would say that. But for many words, most words, we would not drop the G. Okay, so like I said, the two problems are that you can come across as too informal. To come across means how you're perceived by the listener. So if you're speaking and I kind of have a certain feeling from your speech, then you're coming across a certain way to me. So you're probably coming across, or your English is coming across as too informal for me. Then I know you're not a native English speaker, right? So the other problem is that it could lead to miscommunications in some situations. Like I said, it's probably rare, but it could happen, right? So guys, there's my tip for Russian speakers. Thank you guys for joining me in this video. Look at this nice pathway here. It snowed a lot, like I said. We had some snowstorms here, but it's all good now. The snow is melting. It's not melting. It's melting. Try to say that, guys, and let me know what's the reason for that. I don't speak Russian, so I don't know the reason. Maybe in the Russian language, maybe there are no G ending word, like ing ending words, right? Every language has their own different rules, and maybe that sound doesn't exist at the end of words in Russian. Maybe it exists at the beginning or the middle, but maybe it cannot exist at the end. Every language has its different structures, right? So yeah, so I'm just walking here. I'm out for a walk. I'm walking, or I'm walking, both, right? Depends on what mood I want to communicate to you. So it's up to you, but just know that in many situations you need to put the G there. So guys, as always, I love you so much. Keep doing great, you know. Oh, there's a rabbit. I missed it. Didn't turn my camera fast enough, guys. But anyway, keep up the great work. Like I said, all my Russian friends are their English is very advanced, very good, so there's no issues there. I just wanted to give a quick tip in case you're interested. No pressure, no biggie. If you don't want to practice this, it's fine. But if you do want to practice it, sometimes it helps to have someone to point it out to you, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here, guys. Oh, let's see here. What does this say? Warning: all activities are recorded to aid in the prosecution of any crime committed against this facility. Hey, they're recording me and I'm recording them. 2 cameras pointed at each other. Isn't that interesting? Interesting. Not interesting. Look at the snow is melting here, guys. You can hear the snow is melting. Look at that. I love the sound of melting snow. Now, for that word melting, it's never melting. It's always melting, right? So again, some words we do, some words you don't. How do you know which words you can drop the G and which words you cannot drop the G? That's why I'm saying just practice saying all the words with the G and listen for when native English speakers drop the G. When you hear a word where they can drop the G, that gives you permission to drop the G. But pay attention to the context. When did they drop the G? What was I thought someone was stalking me. Turned out it was just my paranoia. Stalking. I didn't say stalking. Maybe I could have said it there. Stalking me. I don't know. But pay attention to when native English speakers drop the G. And then for those words, in those situations, you can do it. But in all other situations, say the G. The snow is melting. Are you an interesting person? Let me know down in the comments if you're interesting. There's so many ing words in English. That's why I notice this every time I'm speaking to a native Russian speaker. I notice this. And it's not just Russians, it's other groups too, but primarily when I'm talking to Russians, I notice this. Because there's so many words in English that end in ing. Verbs in the continuous, the continuous tense, they all end in ing, right? I'm walking, I'm eating, I'm impaling. That's a bad thing. Don't impale anybody, guys. Eating is a good thing. You're not eating. I'm eating my shawarma. That's informal. Like I said, maybe in some situations, most situations, you don't want to be that informal. Like if I'm talking to you normally, I'd say I'm eating a shawarma. I wouldn't say I'm eating a shawarma. So, guys, maybe I'll post a picture of my shawarma if I remember at the end of this video. But anyway, I love you guys so much. As always, stay safe, take care wherever you are in the world. I love you so much. Hope you're happy and healthy, and wish you could have some snow and sunshine here in beautiful Calgary, Alberta. So thank you guys, and as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.